Banquet Masters in Endicott, New York, this is the Bob Huckabone television show. Starring runner and basketball spinner Tom Carter, singer Tony Blanco, the terrific sounds of Rosalova, and me, I'm Don Webb of WMRV Radio. Now it's my pleasure to introduce your host, Bob Huckabone.
Do we have a band here tonight, and have we got a show for you? But first, Bill's snappy jokes and sayings. Tonight seems to be limerick time. A clumsy young airman named Tom fell flat with a 1,000-pound bomb. And now the folks up on Mars, they all say, my stars, where on earth did you emigrate from? We need drummer help. Okay, that was a little delayed. Okay, we'll do better on this one, Bill. There was a young man from Devizes whose ears were different sizes. The one that was small was of no use at all, but the other one won several prizes. Okay. Oh, boy, the show gets better as it goes along, folks. Stay with us. We'll be right back with our show. We have a show tonight. We just have a super band starting it off. We have a super announcer tonight, Don Webb. Hasn't been an announcer for a long time, as far as being. How long has it been since you were on the air?
Well, officially, but 1968, I think.
1968?
Yeah, that was 21 years ago.
Okay, how'd you
I
get?
still do a few commercials once.
Well,
in a
yeah,
while,
we hear you,
like
ladies and gentlemen. This is the voice of
Miller Dodge Honda for many years.
Miller Dodge Honda. Right? Here. See that? They recognize you now.
Steve, you can give me a new car anytime.
How did you get into broadcasting, Tom?
Well, I fell in love with the broadcasting field when I was about 10 or thereabouts. My dad's company, Anaconda, was on strike. And the strike force that was working was quartered at the Hotel Statler, where a local radio station in Buffalo was. So my dad took me up, and it was a radio program in process. And there was a guy sitting there, and there was an engineer in another booth. And I watched this guy, and he played the piano a little bit, and every once in a while he'd point to the engineer, and a record would come on. And his name was Bob Smith. Now, Bob became Buffalo Bob Smith.
That was
This was in the pre-TV days,
Wow.
before Howdy Doody. And that fascinated me. And from then on, I became an avid listener, of course, of the old days of radio. You know, the Shadow and the Green Hornet and the Lone Ranger. And I read books about it today because it was the most fascinating time. Oh, yeah. Radio has gone through a metamorphosis from being a vehicle for drama to now basically a music vehicle and occasional talk radio. But it was a lot of fun in the old days. And I remember the old days of television when well, I used to do black and white radio, basically. I mean, that was how old I was when I started out. It was before color radio even.
Black and white radio.
It was in the early days where they had the old tape recorders and these big, huge recordings, the old ETs.
You don't look that old, huh, as a matter of fact.
I just turned 51.
See?
So it hurts. It hurts every day.
Because I was saying, when I started, we had those big, well, it seemed like a lot bigger than that, but big discs. And they'd have a half-hour show, an hour show on one disc, and you'd have to stop it to introduce, to do commercials and introduce the show and all. Do you ever have to do that?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Have you ever have any embarrassing experiences?
Mostly.
Uh-huh.
I can remember when I first started out, I was in college, and I was working for the Ithaca College Station. And they had a program on called Professor Career. And Professor Career used to sit on the edge of a table, very casual, sweater, very cool. And I was the booth announcer, just as I'm doing right now, but I was in a little booth. And the thing came on, the theme hit, and the guy says, through the earphones, I hear him say, cue the announcer, and I said, Ithaca College prevents Professor Career. Well, Professor Career didn't take this too well, started laughing and rolling backward. And you know, this is live TV.
Right.
So the guy says, oh, geez, I can hear the guy talking to me, the director. He said, quick, give an ID. So I said, this is Camel 2 Ithaca. That was it, my last job. I was fired the first night. This was a non-paid job, and I got fired. That was it. They threw me right off. It took me another year to get back on the college station.
Okay, and with that, that's all the time we have to talk with Don. That's it. Don Webb, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we'll be talking with Don a little later on. He's got some other stories. But right now, we've got a really, really great band with us tonight. Let's have a big hand for Cosa Nova. The band tonight is Cosa Nova, and our guest announcer, Don Webb, old time radio Don Webb, who is now, we haven't said one, your sales manager at WMRV.
Right.
Got to get that in. But you wanted to tell a television story.
Well, I ran into Fred Heckman, who was observing your facility this
Yeah.
evening.
Well, we probably didn't have to say that on the air, but let's hear a hand for old Fred Heckman here from Channel 40.
Fred was a director, and I believe he still is quite a bit, at Channel 40. And back in the 60s, I officially broke into commercial television with Channel 40. And one of the tricks that we used to do was to try to annoy the director. And I'm going to stand now. They would get a medium close-up shot of about here to here on me. I was doing the weather. And my trick was they had 2 cameras and only 1 cameraman. So while the guy would line it up, I'd be talking about the weather in Broome County and what have you, and then the guy would run over here to get a shot of the board, and I would just go, and all the while, the picture was, of course, in the meantime, he'd be scurrying back over here to try to cover it. It was a little Joe
I can hear
Kinney.
Fred saying, I can hear Fred saying, where'd he go? What's he doing?
What's wrong with that camera? What's wrong with that camera? Well, they would get back at me. They'd get a close-up of my Adam's apple or something and ruin the whole thing. Fortunately, in those days, Channel 40 was limited in its viewers, so nobody ever noticed it. They threw snowballs at me one time. I had predicted a beautiful Easter Sunday, and we had about 8 inches of snow. This was back in '65, and Monday I came on, and I was hit with snowballs by everybody, so they made up for it.
But those were real fun. Don't you think they're a lot more serious now in television news than they used to be?
Yes, and they're more professional.
Yeah.
They are much better. It's the same way in sports. The people are bigger, stronger, faster, smarter. We have better athletes than we ever had.
And so in broadcasting, they're bigger, stronger, faster, smarter.
Not smarter. We're in it, so we wouldn't be any smarter.
Well, okay. So do you prefer sales to on the air, Don?
I love working 5 days a week.
I see.
As you remember, it was a 6-day-a-week job, and if you want to work Sunday, you can get a little time and a half in there. But that used to get on my nerves after a while, and I finally went to New York and became director of the Columbia School of Broadcasting, which was a lot of fun.
You were director of the Columbia School of Broadcasting, not
Yes.
affiliated with CBS Incorporated?
I used to do the commercials on TV in New York. Call now, MU26800. That's MU26800, not affiliated with CBS Incorporated or any other institution. You had to get that in with about 6 seconds because...
The thing I remember about that commercial is they would say, get into broadcasting, high pay, prestige, and job security. I remember those things. And I suppose it was true in some areas.
Well, naturally. I think, you can look at some of the people who have made it from this market. Pete Van Wieren, who was a broadcaster with myself, is now doing Atlanta Braves basketball, and he's also, or Atlanta Hawks, excuse me, and Atlanta Braves baseball.
I guess he's one of Ted Turner's vice presidents.
Oh, yeah, he's a big timer now and doing very well. In fact, I just spoke with him about 2-3 months ago.
Great.
And, there have been a lot of people who've gone through this marketplace who have done very well.
Well, and we're going to find out about some of them a little later on, I guess, because right now we have a real special guest. What a show we have tonight. It's my pleasure at this time to introduce a student at Broome Community College, studying with Jerry Graham at Broome Community College, accompanied by Karen Horan. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a big hand for Tony Valleco.
I'd like to do a 17th century art song entitled Vittoria mio core, Victorious my heart. Vittoria, 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 Vittoria mio core, non lagrimar più, è sciolta d'amore la vil servitù. Vittoria, Vittoria mio core, non lagrimar più, è sciolta d'amore la vil servitù, è sciolta d'amore la servitù. Già la tempia tuoi danni fra stuolo di sguardi, con vezzi bugiardi dispose gli inganni, gli affanni, gli annoni, non hanno più l'acqua del crudo suo fuoco e spento l'ardore. Vittoria, 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 mio cuore, non lagrimar più, non lagrimar più, è sciolta l'amore la vil servitù, è sciolta d'amore la servitù. Da luci ridenti non esce più strale che piaga mortale nel petto m'aventi, nel duol nei tormenti la non ho più l'acca, è rotto ogni laccio, sparito il timore. Vittoria, 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 mio cuore, non lagrimar più, non lagrimar più, è sciolta d'amore la, è sciolta d'amore la servitù.
Okay. And now the band, of course, is Cosa Nova, and we're talking with Tony Vallejo and with Don Webb. Tony, great voice.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're studying with Jerry Graham at Broome Community College, right?
Yes, I'm a student of Jerry's. He's on the voice faculty at Broome.
But you didn't just start singing.
No, ever since I was a child, actually. I started as a boy soprano at age 11. Haven't grown up too much, but did the role of Amal in Amal and the Night Visitors, which is a very famous one-act opera by Menotti. They do it at Christmas time, so I got started.
Where are you from?
I live in Tunnel, out near Harpersville, out in the country.
Okay. And were you born there?
Yeah, well, in the Binghamton General Hospital. But,
yeah.
Always lived out there. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And what are you taking up?
I'm pursuing a liberal arts degree because I'm slightly undecided. I'm hoping to go into music education or music therapy, possibly performance.
Okay, you plan to go on from Broome then?
Yes, yeah, I'd like to get my bachelor's and then ultimately master's for teaching at least.
Now, you've done a little bit of performing around the
Yes.
area, right? What do you prefer singing?
Well, I always was trained as a classical singer, so I think that I have a special affinity for that, but I love everything, pop, Broadway.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you
I
ever
love-
sing, Don?
In saloons with Phil Markert. That was about it when he played the piano.
Yeah.
I was going to ask Tony if he ever tried to do anything, for example, out of West Side Story, where the classic song Maria was designed for a tenor. And I was wondering if you had ever tried something of this nature.
Not that piece in particular, although that is a beautiful thing, but certainly some other pop things and some show tunes. One in particular is What I Did for Love from A Chorus Line, which is a favorite of mine. I like to do that.
But now, do you speak Italian?
Actually, I'm studying French. But I do speak some Italian,
I see.
but my primary language right now is the French language.
Okay,
I'm
now,
studying.
but the song you sang was...
That was Italian, correct, yes.
Now, do you understand Italian, or do you sing that phonetically?
No, I've always been basically pretty good with languages, but as a singer you want to interpret, so obviously you have to know what you're singing about. So I have a little Italian dictionary, French dictionary, and it helps to translate literally before you perform something, so you can convey what you're trying to perform.
Yeah, it could be. I suppose there could be words where if you had the emphasis on the wrong syllable, you could get in trouble.
I'm sure there have been instances of that, yes.
You haven't had that happen to you, then?
Not yet, thank God.
Okay, well, you're going to be singing another song a little later on. right?
Yes.
Okay, let's have another big hand for Tony Valleco. Now I want to introduce some people. I'll pick up this microphone. I want to introduce some people from Appalachian. Come on up, Glenn, Diane. This is Glenn Day and Diane Robinson, and you're the secretary of the Appalachian Library Board.
I'm the chairman of the library.
Oh, am I in bad trouble here?
Glenn is my secretary.
Oh, Glenn's the secretary. Okay, now you've got a big event that's coming up in March.
Yes, on March 18th, we're having an Appalachian Talent Benefit Concert. All benefits to go to the library, and we're using local talent.
Okay. You want to mention some of it, Glenn?
Yes, we're going to have the Tioga Hills Sweet Adelines. We're going to have a barbershop quartet. Right now, the plan is to have the Appalachian Lions Kazoo Band.
Great.
We're going to have a local gentleman is going to come in and play saxophone. And if we can twist your arm, Bob, we sure would like to have a surprise visit from the, let's call it the Bob Huckaboom Jug Band.
You mentioned that publicly. We haven't gone public with it yet, but yeah, we may. It's actually going to be a special kind of aggregation, I guess you might say. Okay, again, when is it, and what's the price of admission?
It's March 18th, Saturday evening at 8 o'clock at the Appalachian Elementary School. Donation of $3.
Okay. Sounds like a lot of fun. Good luck with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've been talking with Glenn Day and Diane Robinson of the Appalachian Library Board, and we're going to take a commercial break here, and we'll be right back with more of our show, so stay with us. Our band is Cosa Nova, and we're talking with Tony Valleco and Don Webb. Tony, I understand now that, does anybody here notice the resemblance to Charlie Chaplin? Now, I understand Mike Kinney, who's with the music department at Broome Community College, told me that you have your picture taken sometimes as Charlie Chaplin.
I wondered where you came by that information. Yeah, I do. Every Christmas I have a different pose taken for Christmas cards.
Is that right?
For something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think of Mike Kinney?
Mike is an inspiration, truly. He's an excellent professor. I've never personally came across anyone so knowledgeable and helpful. He's built up BCC's music department immensely.
Is the marking period coming up right now?
Actually, it is. But seriously, he's taken BCC from virtually very, very small department to now they're anticipating having a 2-year program in a music degree.
Beautiful. Okay, well, how about singing another song for us, Tony?
I'd love to, thank you.
Okay. You got to make sure you take off your money, you level a trip or something. Okay. Let's have another big hand for Tony Valleco.
Soave più ombra mai fu di vegetabile cara ed amabile soave più cara ed amabile ombra mai fu di vegetabile cara ed amabile soave più soave più.
Tony Vallejo was accompanied by Karen Horan. And now, boy, what a talented show we got tonight. Here's a guy who's the top runner in our area and a very talented gentleman that's going to be doing a real special thing a little later on, something that nobody else probably, do you think, Tom, anybody else does that?
I believe so, Bob.
Tom's the okay. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Tom Carter. Tom is most famous for his running. How'd you get into running, Tom?
Well, I used to spend a lot of time out in the woods looking for poisonous snakes and out in the swamps looking for snapping turtles, and this bothered my mother a lot, so I thought, geez, maybe I better do something a little less dangerous, so I took up and started to run at that point.
Oh, and you've been, when did you win your first race?
Well, my first race, I won my first race. It's kind of got me into running. It was in high school in 10th grade out at Shenango Forks, my first varsity competition, and after that I said, geez, I better stay with it.
Is there? Now, you, do you have a special way of running? Are you one of those people, who was it Satchel Paige that said, don't look back, somebody may be gaining on you?
Well,
or do you just run with a pack? You know, do you have a special way of running?
Well, I run with reckless abandon. I'm a very uptight, high-strung individual, and I have to release this nervous energy, so when someone fires a gun, I go berserk and take off, and then the pack follows me, and that's the way it goes usually.
So, okay, so you like to lead then?
Well, out of lack of choice, I most likely wind up doing that.
Okay. Now, what are you doing over at Broome? You're an instructor at Broome Community
Yes, I
College.
am. I'm intramural director there. I teach PE classes, and I coach the cross-country and track teams, and I do halftime basketball shows for the basketball crowd.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing that a little later on.
Yes.
For you folks who don't know it now, Tom spins a basketball. This is one of those things you just want to make sure you keep the dial just glued right where it is, because this is something that I suppose people are going to talk about for a long, long time. Tom, how did you get into basketball spinning anyway?
Well, I stunk at everything else, and like regular basketball, football, and stuff. And I said, well, I just wanted to do something that people would look at me and say, hey, that guy's cool, just the normal kid, and it was just a gift from God. I mean, just coming up with the idea, and I never believed it would reach this far. I used to walk around the woods and fantasize spinning the ball at the treetops and look for sticks, and then all of a sudden it's happened, and it's a dream come true. I'm doing it and out in public in the arena and stuff like that.
How long have you been twirling basketballs?
Well, it's been 20 years now.
You've been twirling, actually?
Since Pete Maravich was in basketball, started doing his tricks. That's kind of about the time I started.
And
Look what happened to him. He's dead.
Well, all right, go ahead, shoot me.
Okay, well, what we're okay, we're going to take a break now. We're going to take a break, and when we come back now, we're going to see right here on this very program, Tom Carter is going to be spinning a basketball the way you have never seen a basketball spun before. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Now, as promised, here is Tom Carter. Now, you want to explain to us what you're going to do and how you do it?
Well, I'm going to put the basketball on the stick and spin it up in the air and then hopefully make a basket.
Okay, but that's, Tom?
And like anything
That's
else,
a
you have to
football.
warm up.
Oh, okay.
And I warm up with a football, ladies and
Okay.
gentlemen. Okay, as odd as it may seem, but it's oblong. It's very difficult to spin, so I take a few practices and try to get this under my finger, okay? Like that.
All right.
Okay, now I'm ready. After spinning a football, it's time for the basketball. So, well, I'm not used to this position, but I'm going to sit on the floor. That'll give me access, a little bit more room here. I'm used to dealing with 28-foot sticks. This is kind of short, but I think it'll work for here.
What are you doing with the pencil, Tom?
Well, I start with my finger, then move it over to the pencil. That gives me a little bit more leeway to move the stick underneath the ball. Okay, so up on the finger like that, underneath the pencil, and then just work on the spin.
All right. Look at that.
There we go. Now, and carefully, whoops, underneath. And up she goes. So now you're the basket, Bob. So plenty of time.
Okay, Don, you gonna catch it?
I gotta fool around here.
Oh, look at that. Let's have a big hand for Tom Carter.
Oh!
Oh!
Do I get another try? Or?
Yeah, you get another try.
All right.
He missed the basket.
Okay.
Probably people were making noise or something. You know, there was some.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
one more time.
Warmed up. It's death-defying. All right, there it goes. All right. You gonna catch it, None?
Is it over? Yeah.
Hey! Boy. What? Now, did that take some kind of special kind of stick, Tom, or is that just is it specially selected?
Well, kind of. You know, it has to have a little magic bend in it at the end there.
I see.
So I can dip it into the
Now,
basket.
and usually, now here you were able to go into the ceiling a little bit,
Right.
but you usually use a 20-foot pole.
Right. I'm not. That's too short. Definitely too short. I need 28 feet. I need 40 feet of airspace, and You know, that's why I missed a shot here. I'm used
All
to
right.
making three-point baskets.
And you saw it here, folks. Let's have another big hand for Tom Carter. And now, boy, what a show tonight, and what a band. We've got the band tonight, Cosa Nova, and Steve O'Connell is head of the band. Steve, why don't you introduce the guys in the band?
Hi, on guitar, we have Mr. Larry Lawley. And on drums back here, we have Mr. Steve Tenney. And on the bass, Mr. Greg Williams. Behind Greg on keyboards, Mr. Joe Hyam. And my name is Steve O'Connell. I'm the sax player.
If someone would like to hire your band, how can they contact you?
Well, we play at the Sheridan, Shadows at the Sheridan Binghamton quite a lot. We're playing there the 10th, and we're playing the 18th at Tawny's, also in Binghamton.
Okay, and if someone would like to contact the band, how do they do that?
Probably go to the Sheridan. We play there quite a lot.
Okay, there you go. Okay, let's have another big hand for Cosa Nova. Tom Carter, let's do just for as a reprieve here. Let's see you spin the basketball on the pencil and do us another basket here. There we go. Ta-da! Okay. Tom Carter, you were great. Thanks a lot for being here. Don Webb, you did an excellent job as announcer. Tony Vallejo, thank you very much for being with us. And Karen Horan, thank you. You did a fine job. And Steve, before we go, I want to ask you about the instrument that you play, Steve O'Connell. That's an electronic saxophone, is that what it's called?
It's called it's a Yamaha WX7, and you play it just like a sax, but you play a synthesizer as opposed to a real saxophone.
Beautiful. Okay, let's have another big hand for the super band here tonight. Cosa Nova. And thank you for being with us, and we'll see you next week.
Your announcer has been Don Webb of WMRV Radio. This has been a Bob Huckabone television production.